Hi, welcome to Clitorally Speaking, the podcast. I'm Michelle Doherty.
And I'm Emily Lane.
We are BFFs dedicated to bringing you conversations between girlfriends over a bottle of wine.
Oh, I am so excited about the wine part.
Oh, me too. So pull up a chair, grab your glass,
and let's get talking.
Well, hey there, Emily. How are you today? Hey, Michelle. I'm doing really well, thank you. Okay, yeah, it's a steady incline. Good, because you look fabulous. Well, thank you. Yeah. With your Day of the Dead skull flowers on. Yeah. This is a local St. Louis designer that made those dress. Who? It's Kelly Hoffman from Refash. So she's all into upcycling, and she takes original garments, tears them apart, and it makes them really fancy. Yeah, well, so it absolutely looks fantastic. So, thank you. It's kind of nicely done fancy. Fashion joy. Fashion joy. And so we need fashion joy, even if we're just working from home right now. It's like we've got to get out of our pajamas. Yeah, I don't know. I really got used to dressing for the 2x4 window. Pajamas on the bottom and business on the top. Now I go out and I need to what on my bottom. This is a bad thing. But at least you're putting on bottoms, you know? I mean, I have yet to have that problem where I have forgotten my bottoms at home. That's not going to be an issue for me. And if it ever is, I think that's the first sign that my children need to put me away. Close the door. Yeah. So we have a really great guest. Let's just dive right into it. You guys can hear him laughing in the background. And we have a great wine. And let's just open it up. Introduce our guest, Don Reed. Oh my gosh. Hello, Don. So Don Reed, a dream guest.
Hey.
Not only because he's an amazing person, but as we've had a few conversations with him, how we feel like we're longtime old friends. Quite frankly, secret here, we're all in love with this guy. But hey, and you're not here yet, Don. And he is too, right? Don is in love with himself as well. It's equal. Snap judgment extraordinaire, storyteller. He's a comedian, producer, writer, storyteller, co-producer Robert Townsend, Living the Shuffle. See him on Amazon Prime. If you subscribe to that, you can watch a recent series called Bartlett.
Yeah.
And he plays a conflicted ad agency exec who somehow becomes enlightened by sleeping in a fort. So.
Yes. Oh, wow. Somebody did super homework on that.
Yeah. But you actually were an ad exec for NBC at one time. So is there some truth in this story?
Yeah, there is some truth in the story. There's a lot of truth in the story. But also I was channeling my uncle, who was a vice president of McCann Erickson. I think it's not called just McCann now, but they're massive globally. And he was a vice president, and he worked his way up to VP during the mid 60s to the 70s to the 80s. So that was quite a move, But it was very things were changing and shifting and moving, and I guess they were open to his ideas because he had really broad ideas. So I used some of him as well. And my uncle was this brilliant gay man, and I used and adapted some of that experience into the character as well.
Yeah. Well, it was fun. I did my research. So I want to give our listeners a little history on how we got Don Reed to be on our show. So 2 years ago, 2018, Snap Judgment was doing Snap Judgment Live here in St. Louis, and my friend, our friend Julie, she and I went to go see the show, and it was perfect. It was Sheldon. We were fourth row, right at the front, so it was a wonderful, wonderful time. And then the storytellers, and Don was one of the storytellers, they were so kind to like, pose with us afterwards, at the stage door. And so you didn't stalk them down afterwards. No, okay. So we just hung around, like we knew they were gonna have to come out,
Yeah, we were looking around like, does anybody want to take pictures with us? We were like, one in, right?
Oh yeah. We took a picture with you and with Glenn Washington and also with Jen Kober.
Yes.
All the three of you. And then and you told us your Instagram, Don Reed. Wow. Then started following it, and you were kind enough to follow me back. So I was like, well, that's cool. But you were following back my author name, Simone Richards. And then, like a month ago, for some reason, you liked a whole bunch of my Simone Richards posts. And I thought, oh, I wonder if Don will be on our show. Let me take a chance. So I slid into your DM. And it only took you about 5 days to vet us, make sure we were like legit people, and you said yes. And then boom, we had a great pre-meet conversation, and now I feel like we've been friends your whole life, our whole lives.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a nice vibration, and I read things on vibration. But when you start saying that during the show we're also going to drink wine, I was like, let's do that.
You had me at wine.
Oh my God! Funny thing, you had me at wine. Yes, you did.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about our wine that we are drinking today. And Don is joining us from LA, right?
Yes.
Or LA, out there on the West Coast. So we're doing it in Zoom. And so Don is going to share with us after we talk about our wine, the wine he's drinking tonight. Well, we found a wine that seemed appropriate for a B-side conversation. It's called All Boys. It's the label is it's Fourth. It's and it's a Cabernet Sauvignon. Fourth is the vineyard. It's from Sonoma County. This is their particular All Boys. This is particular, I don't know, bottle grouping, whatever it is. I think that we may have had some Fourth before. This would be a new vintage. I'm thinking this is pretty delicious. I find on the nose, I really want to give this some time. I think we just opened it and we're at it right now. Like, I think this could use a little time to open up because it is clear there's a lot going on. On the nose, I get that oak, then starts fruit. It almost reminds me of those flat swans that you get, and they're like, they look perfect, and you're like, oh, that's gonna be so tasty. And then they're not quite ripe yet. Like, that's the aroma I'm getting from this. On the palate, I think that comes through. Tart cherry, grilled meat, black currant. I mean, this has got some stuff. Yeah. It does have a lot of stuff. The aroma right now is quite forward, I guess, in your nose, with a little bit of a sting to it. I don't know what this. That's the alcohol still trying to open up. Young. This is a 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon. It's just oh my God, baby.
Now, I'm just looking at it. I'm going like, oh yeah, that looks good. Yeah. Okay.
If right now, and please, this is what came to me. If this were a pair of panties, right? If this bottle of wine were a pair of panties, it would be like a suede corduroy. I think that sounds I think it's one of those things, like when you said, like that plum that's just not quite right? So you're like, oh, this suede corduroy panties will be great, but it's not quite right. But that's what came to me, like a brown, that's what came to me when I had my first. God, I have not had a pair of corduroy panties in my. She's had pretty much everything else.
Corduroy shorts, but not corduroy panties, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think that way, if you had corduroy panties underneath your corduroy shorts, oh well, you would not want for.
Sounds like a lot of friction jumping off there.
Oh, people hear you coming down the hallway. Boy, she sounds mad. She sounds fired up.
Somebody just started a small blaze in the hallway.
when I had my first couple sips. It may change as the wine breathes and as the conversation goes. I might change my mind, and that's my prerogative. Might go, right? Yeah, panties might just go off, and it's like, you don't need panties when you're drinking this one. So tell us about your wine, Don.
My wine is called Whitehaven. Whitehaven Marlborough. It's a Sauvignon Blanc, 2019 from New Zealand. And I like wines. I do drink a lot of Chardonnays that are on the oaky side. Buttery's cool, but when it's on the oaky side, I still feel, like I'm getting some bite. This wine has a lemongrass hint that I love because I love lemons. It's got a lemongrass hint in it. It also has some blend of peaches and some other things that are lower in the hint, but the clean finish has a lemongrass dance about it. And if it were a pair of underwear, it would be made of lemon peelings sewn together with a fine light blue silk thread with a designer named Calvin Klein attached. I don't know why.
And it sounds like it smells lovely too. Like that pair of pennies is not only beautiful, but it smells good.
Exactly. See if I can get that. Yeah, you can smell that like lemongrass. It's not overly like pushing the lemongrass, but you can. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That sounds marvelous. Wow. Well, I'm so glad we're enjoying the wine part for tonight's conversation.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. So, Don, you are. I've known you, not personally, but known of you for years because of your contributions on Snap Judgment. I've been a podcast listener since before it was cool, and it's so interesting to me the depth of your stories and what. I mean, what's curious to me is Michelle and I started this podcast because we love these vulnerable conversations. We love putting it out there, and we love creating a safe space for others to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in conversation mode. You're on a Snap Judgment stage. You're putting it all out there yourself. Like, what led you to this place where you were telling deeply personal stories about your life, your family? What transpired to put you on this stage?
Well, I started by running away from it. Truly, I mean, for those who don't know, my background is my stepfather forced us to be in that religion that rhymes with Jehovah's Witnesses for many years, from ages about 11 to 16. I went from a very free lifestyle into this strict, I used to say borderline cult, but leaning more towards cult, because they separate you from your family completely. But I was in Jehovah's Witnesses and knocking on doors 100 hours a month, spreading the word. And eventually,
that's a full-time job.
it was a lot, and people rejecting you, and it was dangerous sometimes as well. But then eventually, when I was 16, I had the guts and the juice to go move in with my real father, who I didn't know was a pimp at the time. More like a middleman, a madam, than an actual pimp, but definitely all the clothing and the capes that went with it.
How do you differentiate?
He was way stylish. You have to realize I was kind of stylish when I was younger. My stepfather moved in. We got unstylish and forgot how to dance completely. And then I moved back over to my father's house, and I was trying to catch up. So I got all these tics and habits. Everybody called me Blinky. I'm blinking my eyes, blink, 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 blink. And I'm behind on the fashion. And my older half-brothers that moved over there, my brother, Daryl, my oldest brother, and then my brother who became my sister, who transitioned, Tony. And so when I moved over there, I was still wearing my Jehovah's Witness gear, going, how about this? And they're like, no, that's not going to cut it. Take off that tie and those platforms are the wrong height because we're still supposed to be cool, but because we're Jehovah's Witnesses, they were short platforms, so they looked like waffles or something. It was not good. It was not good.
Wow. You talk about danger, with knocking on the doors. I can totally see the danger. The rejection is something that I think, all salespeople in this world and business people we deal with on a daily basis. But as a child, here your life has been completely changed. You have a new co-parent, and you're being, forced down this path. Dealing with rejection 100 knocks at a time is probably tricky. Do you have any particular recounts of maybe the more dangerous side of that that's been impactful?
Before I tell the most dangerous story, I just remember we would often start at 5 a.m. To be on the corner. When you did 100-hour a month windows, you'd be on the corner in a neighborhood holding the magazines at 5 in the morning to get, I don't know, the early rush or whatever. But at that time, there were a lot of people leaving nightclubs, like after all-nighters, and they're drunk. What you doing out there with that magazine? You're in the So you got the yellers driving by. Then you got some people rolling up saying, hey,
You're
hey, hey.
Child.
Yeah. And
You're an innocent child.
I was, 12, 13 at the time. And then they said, people would roll up and say, now I know y'all charge for the magazines. You got any money on you? What you got on you? I'm like, no, it's only a quarter. It's only a quarter. If you want, I'll give it to you for free. And then one night, my brother, who I hadn't moved in with yet, who already moved with my father, who was really fast. I'm talking about super fast living, kicked out of school, expelled, all kind of stuff, and already lived with my father. He was coming in from an all-night party. He's like, what you doing out here? And, 6 in the morning. I'm like, what are you doing just coming in at 6 in the morning, But one weekend, we're going door to door, and there was a guy. This all happened in the same day. There was a guy who was in the middle of the street sniffing out of a bag and going, and just running up and down the street, just acting really, really, out of control. That same day that guy was doing that, we walked to a further block up, and these two sisters from the congregation, an older woman who's probably 40-something, and a young girl who's 17, went up this long stairway to a door. They boom, boom, rang on the door. And a guy came out. He's being very pleasant. He said, hey, okay, it's you guys. Okay, Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, hold on just 1 second. And he went to the back, and he came back, and he had a shotgun. And he put it in their face, and he said, get the fuck off my porch right now. And the young girl was like, But the older woman was so centered in the religion. She said, okay, and you have a nice day. And they walked down the stairway, and the older sister seemed to be fine, but the other girl was like, and the next week, she was out of the religion the next week. She was like, I'm not going back. And her mother was kind of in and out anyway. But there were literal times where people would say, they write down on the piece of paper, avoid this address and this address. These people will sick dogs on you. These people will pull a gun on you. These people will call the police. It was like, and you had to pay attention to those, I forget the name of them, but they had these little information sheets, and you would write down your interaction with the house. Like, they seem mildly interested. They sicked a dog on me, so yeah.
Right, they pulled a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that was the dangerous space. But the thing I gathered when I moved over to my father's house from all the door knocking, you also had to give speeches in the congregation on a regular basis. You had to give a speech like twice a month. You had to speak in front of the whole congregation. And I was nervous about it, but the first time I did it, it went so well. And I think that's what kept me in, that I didn't move with my father sooner, because I was getting kudos for, oh, you're a fine speaker. And my stepfather, who was on me about everything, and really unnecessary whippings and beatings and calling on your hands and knees and demeaning you and laughing at you if you made mistakes. I got something right. I did something right. And I had his attention, and he's like, wow, you're really great. He was a BMW salesman. In fact, the first BMW salesman that was black in North America, period. And he was an incredible salesman. He said, I'm good at speaking and good at sales. He said, but this is going to be your thing. This is your thing. You need to grab onto this. And so getting that kind of congratulations from someone who's really beating your spirit down when you've had your lowest days as a young man on earth with this person, and they're saying, oh, you're doing this amazing in some twisted way, is the best thing you could ever hear. And so
it's almost like just hearing what your stepfather did to you, it was an abusive relationship, but I mean, and by giving you just a little glory and telling you that you're great on Sunday when you're giving speeches, you almost, people, it's like a little carrot. And then you want that carrot so badly, you'll put up with all the other abuse the other 6.5 days out of the week.
Right.
Did that back and forth kind of emotion with him affect your ability to have normal relationships with people?
I'm sure it did, but I had before that 11 years of hilarity, shine, and super talent from my father. Congo player. My father played congos with everybody from Mongo Santa Maria to Brazil 66. He played congos with, I'm trying to think some people you might know, Hugh Masekela and people, but only in the Bay Area, only in the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area. And people would ask him to go on tour. He's like, no, I don't really want to. But I didn't find out until years later.
Father, that's the pimp?
Yeah, the same father who was a pimp, yeah. He wasn't a pimp yet, though, at the time. He played the congas with all these groups. What's that?
He hadn't received his certification.
No, he did not receive his certification. And my mother wouldn't have stood for it either at that time. So he was still living at home. But he never went on tour with them. He told my mother years later when he got offered to go on tour and play congas, and he was amazing. And I saw him play many times on the UC Berkeley campus and all over the place. He never went with them because he never learned to read and write. And he never wanted to be, my mother said he never wanted to be in a situation where he didn't look cool. And if he was on tour with a big group, the Escovedos or whoever, and they went to a hotel and he couldn't read the hotel bill and people found out that he couldn't read, she said that would have broke his spirit. So he just said, no, when you come here, I'll sit in with you guys. And he sat in with some of the baddest people, ever. But he was. Is
he still living?
No, he passed in '95. But I had that underneath the whole thing that all got squashed into knocking on doors, putting on a tie, reading the Bible, going to 3 or 4 meetings a week, and all that pressure. And underneath that was a pressure cooker of this talent that wanted to come out. But when it first came out on the other side, it was all manufactured, impersonations, just sound effects. And I started making a living off of it. And so when I started making a living off of it, I'm skipping, going through college and being homeless and stuff like that. But
which we will revisit.
Yes.
I started making a living off of it.
I started making a living off of it. And so there wasn't any reason for me to be authentic or be vulnerable.
Okay. So what got you to be the vulnerable John Reed? What you said you quit running away from it. What inspired you to make that transition? Well,
I was working as an NBC advertising executive and co-running the voiceover promo division. For anything voiceover, anything radio, we handled all of it. And I was producing, writing, casting, sometimes voicing the spots. And this guy who I was working with said he read an episode of of Roseanne. And he said, I had to break out more. I'm afraid to do stand up, so I think I might try doing a one man show, which if I don't reveal too much, should be easier, right? And he said, I'm gonna do a one man show, and I had all the hookups for him. I knew these people at HBO. I'd done stand up for years, and I hooked him up with the HBO workspace, the place to go and do it, the place to try it out, the place to develop it. I was going to call them for myself because I was going to tell them about Jehovah's Witnesses and pimps. That was never happening when I could just go and do my sound effects and be just kind of cute on stage and make my six figures and be an ad executive and hop around and like, hey, I've done well in life, But he said, I'm doing this one-man show. I said, what is it about? He said, it's about my Jewish parents on my back all the time about, when am I going to get a career that's even more sound than advertising? Why don't I, become a doctor or a lawyer or something? He says, mostly about them on my back about that. He said, how'd you grow up? I said, I grew up in Oakland in the 70s. My stepfather was a Jehovah's Witness and my real father was a pimp. He said, you need to do a show about that. And so I wrote it. In 1999, I wrote the one-man show, but then I was afraid to do it. And it sat in a drawer for 6 years.
What were you afraid of?
The truth. The truth.
Knowing the truth, or you dealing with it, the truth out loud 7 nights a week?
I was afraid of ridicule from people, from critics about oh wow, what a bizarre hell life you led. I was afraid to share the parts about my stepfather, how he treated me,
right.
And he was still alive.
Yeah, because has that been dealt with? Like, had you had the conversation with your mom and him? Like, is anybody, or is that still a cloud that's over your relationship?
Well, I think it still affects me deeply, but there were many conversations along the way, including his turnaround at one point. But so I don't give away how that happened. The window of time that I was afraid to do it, that 6 years that I waited, I was telling and I wrote it. I was telling the stories at backyard parties or over glasses of wine with friends, and they would say, "That's amazing. Won't you do that on stage?" I'm like, not yet. But they were like, "No, these are gripping and these are real, and this is authentic." And so in 2006, I started going up and doing 5-minute increments at a time, just little teeny 5-minute increments. But I started telling people I was going to do the whole thing in a year at this theater in Hollywood. I hadn't spoken to that theater. I had no hookup with that theater. I just knew I better start planting the seed. And the little 5-minute nights were going well. And so I started shaping it together. And then one night I set it up to do it for a night at that theater. And they offered me a 5-week run that turned into 5 months. And then an investor stepped up and took it off Broadway to New York.
Wow.
And the New Yorker and New York Times said, "Oh, I still haven't been home yet to do it for my family."
Wow.
But after I got those kudos, I called my mother up and said, "Hey, Mommy, I'm going to come to Oakland. I'm going to be performing." She said, "Oh, doing your stand-up? Your impersonations?" I'm like, "Nope. Maybe some impersonations of y'all."
How did she deal with that? Like, did she ever come to you? Well, yeah, there's layers of questions happening all at once here. I'm curious about, her realizing the abuse that you were going through, and if that's a part of your show, like, how did she handle that realization? And yeah.
Well, at this point, my mother and my stepfather were divorced, so that was really helpful.
Okay.
And she was out of the religion completely. So I got 50% juice going right there, right?
Yeah.
And then I called her, and I knew there were some moments, there's some beats in the show where my father, when I was a kid, he made infidelity into an amazing fun game. He turned it into this electric game of excitement and joy. Hey, we're going over my friend's house, and there's other kids over there, and they've got candy and toys, and it's fun. And he's going in the back going, but I don't know that, right? But then when I get in the car, the fun continues. He said, look, okay, what did we do today? I said, we went over this woman's house. And he said, no, it didn't. Where did we go? Make it fun. Make up a story. I'm like, we went to the park. He said, that's good. He said, and why we ain't hungry? I said, because that lady you kissed gave us something. He said, no, don't say that. No, why we ain't hungry? I said, because we made sandwiches and ate them at the park. He said, that's good. Let's tell her that. So we made this fun game. I wasn't going home. I was betraying my mother, but I wasn't going home like, hey, it was like, I get to tell mommy the story this time. He turned it into this fun game, which is a really, really bad thing to do because it impacted me as I grew up, as I got into relationships. It was always like spinning things and twisting it into these fun stories rather than telling the truth. But it also helped protect me because I didn't have to give my whole heart because I was kind of scared anyway. But I called my mother before I ever did the shows in the Bay Area. And I said, Mommy, I got to talk to you about something. I'm going to be doing some shows in the Bay Area. And she said, shows about what? I said, about our family. She said, what about our family? I said, everything. And I said, there's some stuff I want to tell you. And I'm thinking like, I got to tell her about the betrayal part because I don't want her to sit there finding out for the first time, right? I said, so there's some stuff I need to tell you. So I hope you're ready. I'm ready to tell you now. And she said, probably something about your father taking you over his girlfriend's houses while I was at work. I got some more shit for you. And she gave me so much more material. I was like, ah! So it became much easier than I thought. Then she came to the shows and people would say, hey, how much of that is he making up? She's like, not what he made up, it's what he left out. There's so much more that's still in there. The only time she was kind of hurt was when the New Yorker gave me this amazing review, just the best review I've ever received to date, from a publication of that stature and pedigree. And they went into this detail that the same guy who wrote, directed this, did all this, but as he explained the characters, he explained my mother as including his lost, sad mother. And that really, really bothered her. She's like, I'm not lost and sad. I kicked your father out. I kicked him out. I told him I'm not taking any more of his game. So I was really strong when I stood up and did that. So I make a point to state that in the show, you know, how much more firepower she brought to the table than some people take, like, oh, how'd she put up with all that, you know? But she didn't. As it played out, she didn't put up with it.
Did you, we've done our research and stalked you on Facebook and, YouTube. I think we have set up a YouTube playlist of all your stuff now, too, as well.
Cool. I'm loving this.
But my question is, you say in one of the stories that you left and went to live at your dad's place. Mm-hmm. Did that cause a break with your relationship with your mom at that time?
Massive.
And so were you, like, how many years went by, or did the stepfather need to leave before you could have a relationship with your mom again?
No, I didn't talk to my mother for at all. This is okay, because at the end, I was considered disfellowshipped and kicked out of the religion when I left. Right. And my younger brother went with me, who was 2 years younger. But to tell his story too is just, and my brother did it too, because he's standing behind me going, I agree. No matter what I said, he's like, I'm with you. I got your back. But, and he went on his own route and has had an incredible career in Paris and Holland. But it was the break off came, and then I remember my mother and my sister sitting at places in the house when I was packing, and they couldn't even look up. My mother didn't even look up. She was just so broken and crying, and my sister was crying as well, and trying to read one of the Jehovah's Witness books, but she was trembling. And my brother and I left, and I didn't call her in 16, 17, 18, I think maybe 3 or 4 years We didn't speak at all. And one day I just showed up at her job at Montgomery Wards. No, I'm sorry, at Kaiser. I was working in Montgomery Wards, at Kaiser, and she was in this glass with security thing. She went, oh my God, Donnie. And I was able to tell her that I just got admitted to UCLA. So, because she thought when I left, I was just going to go. In fact, my stepfather, as he drove us over to the house, to my father's house, he said, you need to know right now, you ain't ever, 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 ever going to be shit. The rest of your life, you're never going to be. Now that you're moving over with your father, with all this wild living and stuff and leaving the religion, guaranteed, you're never going to amount to anything ever. Remember, I told you that, ever. And so that break made me not want to go. And my mother wasn't calling. It was part of the religion. She's not supposed to call me. My sister came over a couple more weeks, but it was a bit too wild for her. So she stopped coming too on Sundays. And then at one point I said, I need to go see her. And at that point, my younger brother still wouldn't go see her at all. But I saw her, told her I got into school. And then I saw my stepfather one day. He was driving down the street in a BMW, one of the cars he was selling. He said, hey, I want to talk to you. I said, I don't have to talk to you. I don't have to do anything with you. You have no control over me of any kind. He said, no, I want to talk to you about something. Get in the car. I was like, nope. Not getting in the car. And he's standing to me, I was standing outside the car. He's talking to me. He said, no, I want to tell you how proud of you I am. And so I got in the car. He said, you know, I've been in this religion because people told me I'm supposed to be in it. And the questions you raised about the miracles and how come I thought the world was supposed to end last Tuesday and all that, he said, I never asked those questions. I never asked them. He said, so I think I'm going to leave the religion. And so at this point, he said, you motivated me to leave. So my stepfather left, my mother left. And right before I was heading for UCLA, I was waiting tables at this restaurant. And they came into the restaurant. They said, you headed off to UCLA, huh? He's like, you know, I told you that you weren't going to be shit. He said, but I knew some good stuff was going to happen for you. And I got recruited to UCLA on a speech and debate scholarship. And it was from learning to knock on all those damn doors, getting in a speech class, killing it in that speech class because I knocked on doors 100 hours a month. And the instructor going, oh, you need to be on the speech and debate team, and getting on the speech and debate team, and things working out that way.
Did you say though? I have some requirements. I'm not going to talk about religion. I will not do any topics on religion.
You know, oddly, yeah, I didn't. I never did. I never did talk about religion at all. I did talk about Poltergeist, though. I gave a speech on Poltergeist. I gave a speech on dolls and how dolls impact imagery. And
Do you have experience with Poltergeist?
Yeah, I did. Actually did.
Oh, okay. Beyond the movie, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
And I also, because I have some experience.
You have some experience? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Share that now, and I'll tell you mine.
I feel like I need to get some holy water now and throw it over my back, my shoulders.
No. Tell me yours, and I'll tell you what happened.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think that just my family in general, we've always had, I don't know, there's always been this kind of thin veil. And so, on my mom's side. And so, you know, I've lived in multiple houses that were haunted. I've had, you know, my mom has as well. My grandmother did as well. It's just a generational thing. And, when my mom moved into a house when I was in high school with her new husband, which he didn't pull us into a cult, but there's some similarities in our stories, you know, I too, by the way, Don ended up homeless at one point,
really?
Kind of a
wow.
thing to dive into a little bit. But the house that we were in, was dark. There were unexplainable things that happened all of the time. And my mom and I thought, like, we see these things. And actually as an adult, I've worked really hard to kind of like put this kind of wall up because I kind of don't want to see it.
Right.
I just don't want to, you know. And, you know, we would have things like knives standing up, you know, on their point, like in this, you know, like just
Seriously?
things like, yeah, we would have things like magnets coming off the refrigerator and flying across the room. We'd have furniture completely moving from one end of the room to the other.
You saw it?
We would hear it and
then you come in there and you see it
We'd
didn't
go
move.
in, it would be moved. We had, and I would tell my friends this, and nobody would believe me because who believes these stories, you know? And they would come over, and nobody would stay the night with me. You know,
right now, I'm not ever going to that house.
I'm watching Michelle's face. She's like, I'm not going over there.
I mean, there was layers and layers of stories. The scariest one I will share. Are you ready for it? Okay. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. So for 3 months, I dealt with this sound of something walking down the hallway at night and opening my bedroom door. And the thing that was terrifying about it was, well, I mean, that's not terrifying enough, right? But just the steps themselves, they weren't like human steps, you know, when we walked down a hallway, like, you know, there's variances in the steps, and they were deliberate, heavy, pounded, like a march kind of step. Very,
Whoa.
you know, very heavy, very deliberate, equally weighted steps. My door would open, and there'd be 2 steps into my doorway, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm under my covers, I'm so scared, you know. And I would just lay there, and whatever it was would hang out in my room for a few minutes, and then it would walk away, close the door, and walk back down the hallway. And this would happen for 3 months, every night.
Oh my goodness.
And then one night, I'm laying in bed, and the whole pattern happened, you know, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And I'm laying there, and then all of a sudden, I hear this grumbly sound. It's like a grumbly sound. I mean, this I know it's not going to sound real for people who have not lived through this stuff, but people who have are going to be like, I've been there. So I'm laying there, and I hear it is steadily growing. That sound is growing louder and louder and louder and louder over minutes. And then it finally says my name.
Oh.
Wow. So then I open my eyes, and there's this dark cloud hanging over me. It's a dark, dense, completely opaque cloud with a crown of thorns. And it said my name. And I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't do anything. And that lasted for a bit. I finally broke free, screamed. It disappeared. That was the most terrified I've ever been. And we did have a priest come out and
After that, did you ever have anything else again?
Yeah.
So, like,
it would only last for like a month.
did you like move your room? I told my mom, like, I want a different room.
I want a different room up.
Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't the moon. It isn't the moon. It was a
You
room.
think you would just kept finding you?
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
when the
things
Zoom
would move around.
interaction, when they can interact with Zoom, maybe he's still following you. Maybe somebody has, it's actually that
Oh my
spirit that's like
God.
stuck in a computer. I mean, I've never seen this on TV before, but like a spirit stuck in a computer and following you
No,
around.
it was terrifying.
You're trying to make it worse.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm in a good place now. I have a very happy house.
Me too. I'm still not going to spend a night though.
Okay.
So what's yours?
Okay,
I
so
don't have a poltergeist.
the thing that makes mine the one that makes mine kind of trippy is that they often say either you can have you're an empath or someone who has an avenue that's open to connecting with spirits from other world, but also you're going to get a higher rate if you're studying it. And I was studying, had to do research for the speech. It's a collegiate level competition. I had to prepare this speech, and so I was finding out all the things that can explain things away. So I was aware of water running, wind avenues, buildings aging, shifting. I was aware of a lot of the checklists that you check things off. So when things are left, it gets terrifying because I can't explain it away. So at one point, I was still working on the speech, and I was reading, unfortunately, the Amityville Horror at the same time. And checking to the details of that. So let's not go all the way there. But terrifying enough, right? And looking at how much of that could have been real. And then they were establishing how things there couldn't be explained away. And I was in the restroom on the toilet in this old house. The house was probably built, I would think in the 30s, the house was built. And I was on the toilet, the door was closed. And I said, if you're real, because I've been feeling a spirit like that. I said, if you're real, prove it right now. I said, I've been studying. I know what to look for. If you're real, prove it right now. And right then, an ice cold gust of right in my face hit me.
Wow.
Now, I knew what to look for. I knew to look for the windows, the door.
Yeah.
I knew to look for slats in the small space at the bottom of doors, ventilation. I knew everything to check, and it was not explainable. I was like, oh my God. And I said, there's definitely something here. And then it made itself more present. And I was living at the time, my father, his little pimp game had gone down. And
he was having a hard time taking care of the pension. All of his for them and the 401ks.
The pensions and the 401ks were gone, and they wanted their money. Oh my goodness, that is hilarious. I gotta remember that. I'm gonna have to use that sometime. Okay. Wow, that's great, Michelle. Okay, so it was down, and so he was with his second wife, and we were living at her mother's place. Her mother had like 3 properties, and we're living in this house. It was me, and I was okay to live there because I was in college. My older brother had to go. My brother became my sister, had to go, and my youngest brother already was living however he wanted. And so I had to live, though, not in a house, but out of the house, down the back stairs, through the garage, into this small room. It's like 3 rooms in the bottom basement garage area. It was really, really dark down there.
I bet.
And so I've had my face blown in cold blasts of ice cold, like deep Arctic wind in my face. And now I got to go downstairs outside to my room.
Right.
I said, hey, you guys, I guess I'm going to say good night now. Okay. Good night. And I go down this, and I'm outside when I go downstairs. Boom, boom. And it's these old wooden crickety stairs with like broken holes, whatever. And then I got to open this door, and it's not a straight shot to my room. It's like an obstacle course in the dark because the light is in that room. It's washers, it's dryers, it's old chest of drawers and chairs that you have to navigate through till I get to the room and to get to the light, right?
Wow.
So I go through the dark, I get to the light, I'm in the room, and I'm sitting there going like, wow, what was that? What was that? Just then, no lie at all, a big, thick, one-eyed cat came through the window. I'm not lying.
Oh
I'm not embellishing at all. Like,
Was it black?
no. It was like it's like that Morris the cat. It was like that cat, like orange with the tiger stripes.
Oh, yeah.
Incidentally, I was the voice of a cat on a different show. Long story. Two Broke Girls CBS. Anyway, same kind of cat, but big alley cat. What's that?
I know that show.
Yeah.
Sure.
I made all the sounds every time the cat went or have children or whatever. I was going. I was doing all those sounds. Anyway, the cat comes through, and the cat's like buff, like he's been hitting weights or something. It's like it's not no house cat. It's a cat that survived free in the wild that ate other cats. It's like got that one eye and comes through the window and goes, and I'm like, oh! I jump on the bed and I get my back against the wall, and the cat is running back and forth. It can't get out of the room, and I didn't have a wall, so I had this curtain up, and the cat was running, going up the curtain and back down because it couldn't find the exit. And it's like running around with its one eye and its big claws. And I got the Arctic thing on my mind. I'm like, why did this wild cat come through the window running back and forth? And it ran back out. I was like, oh my goodness, I got to go back upstairs. But I got to make it through that dark opposite. Boom, boom, boom. I'm bumping in the washer dryer. So I run up the back stairs. Boom. And my father's in there playing cards with some friends, and his wife's over there. I'm like, hey, how you guys doing? They're like, what's up with you? Nothing. And every night, what's that?
You're like, I'm just going to sit here and watch TV.
And I started sleeping on the couch in the living room. My father's like, well, go to bed. What you doing sleeping? I'm like, I'm good here.
Yeah.
But then eventually they said, no, you go.
Cat and a poltergeist in my room.
Are down there. And so each night it was a big deal for me to go downstairs. And a little after that, the father of my step grandfather, so to speak, lived there. And a little after that, he passed. And I was going to be a chiropractor at the time. I thought I was going to be a doctor. And I was doing all the pre-med classes and stuff. And he slipped under the water in the bathtub. And everybody's like, oh, Donnie. Like, I'm taking my pre-med classes and stuff. Like I'm supposed to save him. But I couldn't. I was pumping him and I couldn't save him. Like I have no business doing that. And then after he passed, I went out with a friend. I drank all this Tanqueray and was hungover, felt horrible and stuff. But then right after he passed, each time I went downstairs to that room, I felt fine. Like his presence was there protecting me or something. Because I was never scared again after he was gone.
Yeah. Because I could see how that process would haunt you of losing your grandfather in that way, and now here he is protecting you. Like that is such a sweet resolve to all of that.
Yeah, it shifted it over. I was reading Carlos Castaneda and books like that at the time. Like I guess it opened up, but that was a little scary moment there.
So I want to share with you guys my scary moment. Okay, and it was just this past weekend.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was the kids. My sons were still in Florida. They were visiting their dad in Florida, and I had to go downstairs to the basement to feed the cat at 6 a.m. So I flip on the light to go downstairs, and I feed the cat. And as I'm walking back up the stairs to go turn off the light, I see this thing on the wall, and I don't have my glasses on, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you're an ugly fucking frog. I've never seen a frog that looks like this. And I don't like frogs. My older brother used to chase these frogs and put them on me, and I hate frogs. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave the door. It's an ugly frog. The boys will be home tomorrow. They can take care of the frog, because I'm not going to do it. And so, my day goes on, and I texted my youngest, and I said, oh, by the way, when you guys get home tomorrow, there's a frog I need you to take care of. Because they would know that about their mom. My snakes, frogs,
not furry, it's not allowed.
Well, yeah, I can take
Not
care of
furry,
spiders,
no.
like I will kill spiders, no problem, but the things that I don't do that. So I was telling William about it, so then I went to take a picture, and I opened the door, and I put my phone in, and I take a picture of it on the wall, and I texted to him, like, this is ugly frog. And his response back was, Mom, that's a bat.
Oh, that's not good either.
They think it's hilarious that I thought that was a frog. And so then I was like, I can't have a bat in my house. And I can't wait till they come home. So I texted Emily. I'm like, hey, you busy?
I know, because I would
You busy?
done a friendly catch and release.
You want to come over and get this bat? I had reached out to a few. And one of my friends who actually helped me with some bats 7 years ago, I texted him and I said, hey, remember you helped me? And he came over later that dusk, because you can't take bats and put them out during the day because they become prey to other, hawks and stuff like that. And so I latched the basement door so the cat couldn't get down, and I kept the dogs away. And I'm like, bat downstairs, and that was my poltergeist. That was it.
And it was a real thing, so it wasn't your imagination.
Oh no, it was not. It was a real thing. And I just don't do bats. And 7 years ago, when I had just it was August. It was a hot day in August, hot humid day in August 2013. And I'm laying on my couch watching PBS. It was a Sunday, watching probably some Downton Abbey at the time. I don't know. But I was watching PBS, and this thing just flew down over my head, and it flew off. And I was like, I got up, I screamed, and my son, who's 21 now, he's upstairs, and I'm screaming. He's like, what's wrong, Mom? I'm like, there's a bat in the house. And I'm like, we need help. And so he went over to a neighbor who's a firefighter, and got that firefighter come back. And I'm sitting on my front porch, and I have a real big picture window, just like I'm watching television. And at one point, the bat had landed and was in the corner of my dining room, just up on the crown molding. And I'm on the front porch, and it's hot because it's August in St. Louis. And my youngest is with me, and we're watching Jacob and Mr. Zarbo chase this bat with brooms, running with brooms, and they're swapping at it. And then I had all the doors open so we could get it out because it was nighttime. And then they're like, we can't find it. And I said, well, check my bedroom. And so they went and they checked it all out. There's no bat there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to my bedroom. And I'm closing the door. William came to the bedroom too. So we just slept there. A few days later, and I had told this story to my friend.
A few days later, you had the bat in the house.
No, it was gone. I couldn't find it, right? I couldn't find it. And then a few days later, I'm laying on the couch again, watching PBS again. And it swooped down over my head. I sat up. I screamed again. My son, Jacob, was like, what's wrong? I just, the bat's in the house. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do about it?
It was the same TV programming you did. It was really into the Downton Abbey.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It must have been anti-PBS. And then it just flew into my bathroom, and it landed on the loofah. And the
It landed on a loofah.
It landed on a loofah. Then I called my neighbor, and I said, hey, remember you said I could call you if I ever had a bat again in the house? I know it's 10:30 at night, so can you come get it? And he did. And he came with the leather gloves, and he took the bat off the loofah, and then I got rid of the loofah. So I told my friend, his name is Mark, I said, so I'll see you in 7 years when I have another bat?
Next time a bat comes out.
And he was trying to tell me how to take care of it myself. He was just get some leather gloves. I'm like, no, it's not happening.
Okay.
I mean, I become sort of immobilized and paralyzed when I have a mouse or a bat.
Okay, so you have to remember this. Okay, Robert Townsend. Just do a little homework and find Hollywood Shuffle, his first film, and there's a section in there that he's trying to make it as an actor in Hollywood. In Black Hollywood, it's difficult because the roles are all stereotypes. But there's a guy who's rich and famous in the movie, mythically made up. But the series he's on, the half-hour hilarious series he's on, is called "There's a Bat in My House." So I want you to watch it just so you can see just that section.
Okay.
There's a bat in my house. Thursdays on ABC.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine, when he was redoing his house down, he talked about when he was redoing their bedroom, he and his wife's bedroom, and he was taking off the old plaster, and he said bats just started coming out of the wall. And he was
what do you mean bats, plural?
Bats, plural. It was like, he said it was like whack-a-mole. He just hitting, and they're just coming out of his home. So I have this fear of having, because my house is not as old as your house, but my house is almost 100 years old. It's beautiful. So that's so I don't need a ghost. Sweet little creature.
Yeah, I'm big on.
If a bat ever flew ice cold in my face, you guys need to go off the ground.
Oh, I'm big on capturing stuff and letting it free. I actually bought this spider catcher. It's a stem and a square that goes down and a sliding door. You can put it over spider and slide it closed so you can release them free. But I don't know what I would do because I don't have a bat catcher.
Or whisper it. Yeah, whisper it. If my friend would, I guess he would go out to LA to help out. But let's take a real quick break here and get some more wine in our glasses, and we will be right back in just a few moments. Okay, I'm sitting here to go like this. I'm like, oh my God. I will be right back. I will be right back. Not back.
I want to do this again already. I know how long I have to wait. I know how long I have to wait to do this show again, but I want to do it again already.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you. We do have recurring guests, so we can have you as a correspondent from Hollywood.
The Hollywood correspondent.
One of the things that I hope you guys aren't looking for a mouse or a bat right now. No. Please, okay. Because I just told a bat story and you guys are walking around like this before. What kind of
Okay, so would that be kind of haunty if you went home and there was a bat in your house tonight?
That would be really awful. My boys are home now, so I would make them take care of it. They're older. I'd be like, take care of it.
How old are they?
One time, my oldest son is 21, and then my youngest is 17. So I have a daughter who's 25, and she lives in Portland, Oregon. Okay,
you're doing pretty cool because you don't have the visuals that suggest you have kids that age.
Or the visuals.
You don't have anything that suggests yeah, my kids. You know what age my kids are? You don't have any of that.
No. I was very fortunate. My ex and I, he left when I was pregnant with the youngest. And so I basically had the kids, 99.9% of the time. They're all 4 years apart, so 0, 4, and 8 was the life that I had. I foolishly thought I could date.
What you foolishly thought you could date?
Foolishly, I thought I could date. And I don't know how it is out in California, but St. Louis men, if they find out you have a 0, 4, and 8-year-old, they're like, boom, they're like gone. They're so fast. And so I just pretty much, I raised them, and I was thankful that they were all healthy and smart and good students, and that I don't know if I could have handled a discipline problem or a medical issue or anything like that. I'm just really thankful that they're good people, So, but we had fun with our little nucleus, 4 of us. And Willie, my young, I adore all my kids, but my youngest William, we played this trick on him for a while that we told him he would get his superpowers when he turned 5. And he was always like, couldn't wait for that. And he would ask about what our superpowers were. And, you know, I was like, I could see the back of my head, you know, and Jacob was like, you know, super fast. And we even got like another family involved.
Oh my God.
And everyone was like, yeah, of course, well, when you become 5, yeah, you're going to get your superpowers. He's still pissed today. He doesn't have his did not. He was like, I heard 5, you guys lied. Lied the whole time. Lied, yeah. So, but we had some fun. And then I have one. He'll be a senior in high school and he'll graduate and he'll go off to college. So we'll be able to take us this show on the road then. Nice, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So regular.
Oh, that would be marvelous. We'd love that. There's so much to explore.
There's
oh my
so
God.
much. I had no idea we could step into the poltergeist thing tonight. I got
Poltergeist, homelessness, like
Yeah,
there's so many things.
yes, so many things.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we have, you know, have also, I mean, there's just, I'd love to talk, I mean, it's only one night. We might have to break this up, but, you know, learning about Tony and
What sucks is that usually we go and have a drink with our guests after we're done because they have like so much more to
Oh
talk about.
man, that totally sucks. I would have loved to do that.
Yeah. Well, we'll once this COVID thing releases its hold on our lives, you know, we'll have to do this in person somehow.
Yes.
Either we'll come to you or you can come here. Or,
But, you know, maybe I could help orchestrate something for you guys to do a live cast from the Marsh, San Francisco, this theater in San Francisco. They do some of that work. They do it there and they do it in Berkeley, but it'd be worth a fun trip. So, girls' night, in San Francisco. What?
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine manages. Are you familiar with the Hillside Club in Berkeley?
The Hillside Club. Okay, is it private?
I think it is. Yeah, it's like this old. It's an old venue, and
Okay,
you know,
I think it's on Durant, and I think I stayed in the. It has a hotel attached to it, or no?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
So I know there's a really great little pizza place right down the, like 2 blocks down that you like order from the window and they like, you know, and right where the food get like restaurant ghetto is, there's a restaurant if you're like on the far south side of the restaurant ghetto, you go up
by
the
UC
hill,
Berkeley. You talking about by UC Berkeley?
Not, it's north of that.
Okay, yeah, north of the campus.
Yeah.
In a little restaurant row, right? Just a block.
Yep.
Okay. The
Yep.
name of that pizza place is called, not Giovanni. It starts with an L. I think I know what you're talking about. It's one of my favorite little
up
streets.
The hill, like 2 blocks, there's this wonderful little place called the Hillside Club, and it's a concert venue and all kinds of stuff.
I haven't been there.
Who's from to manage that place?
So you know somebody who manages it?
Yeah. It's a really wonderful little spot. Yeah.
There's a private club in San Francisco that I'm a member of called The Battery, which is incredible. So ask your friend if they're in the Battery. If they're not in the Battery, then maybe they'll say, oh, down in the Battery, and then they can get me to come to the Hillside.
Okay, I will ask her. Her name's Araceli. Yeah. We're not going to do it. No, we're not going to do it. But, I know. The Battery. Okay.
Let's try not to go here. Let's try not to go there. Let's try not to go into all of that.
Okay.
The whole love thing, full effect, is happening right now. Happening right now.
You're still dating her?
Yeah. Well, we.
Is that I don't want to go there right now?
Was that your weekend?
Yeah, that was the weekend of. Do I say it on the radio? Do I say it in the simulcast? Do I say it's been on again, off again for how long? Whew. It's a love thing. It's a love thing.
Yeah.
That's the name. Okay, are we back on the air?
No, we're not.
Okay.
This is just amongst us.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can get ready. Yeah.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Do it. Okay. And we're back.
Thank you very much. I'm waiting for getting some more water.
I mean, I'm so, it used to be very like exact metaphors.
Yeah.
I'm just like, here's your big full glass.
Yeah, just drink it.
I
No complaining.
don't want to hear choices about that. Let's just make that glass full, and you're going to be happy.
I'm happy now.
Can I tell you guys something? I literally, seriously, within the last week and a half, I've discovered that my favorite is wine. Because I'm a drinking man, and I'll drink a nice a bourbon with a big block of ice, or a mezcal or a sip of tequila. Love beer. Love an ice cold beer. Ice cold beer and a kiss from her is like, yeah, right? But I realized that my favorite thing is a glass of wine. But I just figured it out in the last like a week and a half. I'm like, oh my God, that's my favorite. They said, you only get one thing. What are you getting? I'm like, I'll go with the wine.
That's a pivotal awakening.
It is for me.
No.
And I'm 60, so it took me a long time to figure it out.
I'm amazed that you're 60. You definitely hold your age well. I would have like shaved 20 years at least off that. Yeah.
And our audience who's listening can't see right now.
Oh, I'm dancing. You guys.
You gotta do a little chair dance, a little happy dance. Waiting for some dollars to be thrown at it.
Right. Hey, you know what? As you guys might know, I tried to be a stripper for a short little.
I missed that story.
Oh man. Oh, okay. I was going to UCLA, and I interviewed to move into a retirement hotel.
Right.
To serve breakfast to the elderly. I eventually did get in there and live there for 5 years, but I didn't know I was in yet.
So now we're on your phone. We can see you.
Yeah.
But you still have your Zencaster connected on your computer.
So I'm going to try to do this. I hope it doesn't impact anything.
Is he?
Yeah, he's still there. He's still there. Because we can hear him this way. And you're muted on your phone, right?
Yeah, I'm muted. Looks like no, you're muted.
It's perfect.
But you're muted as well.
Am I?
Zoom, right? Make sure you're muted.
Mm-hmm.
Don Reed.
Yeah, I'm muted.
Now
muted
he's
on my
muted.
phone too, yes.
Great. Okay, we're ready to roll again.
Come back in. I don't know what we were talking about.
Okay.
You were telling us a story about
about the tryout. Well, where should I start
yes.
from?
Yeah.
For your hotel. You were gonna go be a stripper.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to try out to
So we talked about the fact that it was a Chippendale.
Like a Chippendale
and we're like,
audition. And we're like, what is like?
It was a wannabe Chippendales.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just stripped down to your like cargo shorts instead of like a G-string? Is that what it was?
No, not even. It was far more dramatic and terrifying than that. It's almost like a horror film. Okay, because I weighed like 11 pounds. was not in.
Okay.
I looked like, seriously, a chicken bone with an Afro wig balanced on it that was wet. It looked like that. You can kind of put that together. Because to get ready, I just threw on some stonewashed jeans and a cool T-shirt, and I had my little afro. I was about to walk out, and my friend, if you want to call him that T, I used to hang out at his place a lot. And if I did enough cocaine, he'd forget that I didn't have anywhere to go. He'd say,
okay.
"Oh, you might
man.
as well crash here. Might as well crash here." So we were like, snort, smoke the cocaine he had. Don't even do drugs, but I'm just doing it like, okay, might as well.
You're doing it for a sofa. Yeah.
Exactly. And he said that we gotta. He walked in when I was about to head to audition. He said, "Oh, we got to get your head together, brother. This ain't gonna do it all. Your whole outfit, no. He's like, women like leather. Where's your leather? I'm like, I don't have it. So you gotta have some leather.
Were you wearing your corduroy pants and your corduroy underwear again? Were you having that combo going on?
Oh my word! They were light smoke gray corduroy pants. I swear. Smoke gray. They were so
People
tight.
heard you coming.
I had issues with breathing, and I had a blue shirt I wore with it all the time that would tuck in, that you're supposed to wear with a tie. It had those holes, so you're supposed to have that tie pin, but I didn't have a tie pin, so it'd be loose, and the button was kind of far. So I was like, "Hey, you want to look at my chest here?" My little afro, but I was skinny and blinking and weighed 11 pounds. It wasn't a good combination.
Oh.
But he was like, get this leather going, and he put the leather pants on me and the leather jacket matching. He said, you got to get the hair straight, and I had a jerry curl. That he turned it into a jerry curl. He put all this pink cream that was burning. He's like, supposed to burn. That's how you know it's activated.
Wow.
It made my hair burn and rinse it out. It was these curls, and he puts this other emollient. It was a grease. So squeezed baby oil on me. Go on down there. Catch the bus. And
oh my God.
And let me tell you, no kidding. On the bus, it was like.
Did people get up and like move away from you wherever you were sitting? Like they're like, "Oh, yes, back of the bus is fine now. I don't. You can have this whole area."
I guess they could have, but I slid by them with emollients so smoothly. Nobody knew what was.
People were actually like sliding out their own seats because of your excess oil everywhere. They were like,
on the floor. You don't have any. You don't have a jerry curl. And I remember
you have enough jerry curl for everybody.
Right. I remember reaching up. I remember it was like 87 outside, but on the bus it was like 102. And I remember reaching up to ring the bell.
Oh my God.
And ring the bell and I'm squishing down the street. He put, because I had on a purple G-string
cool.
he gave me. And I don't know why he had a purple G-string readily available. He flung it out like, But I put on the purple G-string, straight baby oil, head to toe, with hair molly, and then leather on top of that. No barrier between, no jacket, no other anything. He said, that's where they want to go. Straight. When you get in there, go straight to skin. Go straight to skin when you get up in there. Right?
Oh, man.
And I walked in there, people auditioning, and the guy is like, my name is Marco. I'm an ex-dancer. Got a nice pot belly. I'm an ex-dancer. We're going to put Chippendales out of business. Go down the list and we're going to throw out some names just to do the best we can. We don't want to use your regular name. You want a stage character, right?
Yes.
So we had this guy come out. His first guy's name was Mike, and he was all muscular. Sound like the footsteps walking down the crowd.
Right.
Of your little
muscular Mike.
Your little scary poltergeist person.
Yes.
Dancing, muscular. I'm 11 pounds going, I don't want to do this anymore in my head.
Yeah.
And this other guy came out.
Quivering.
I came out with Stevie Wonder braids and like a burnt rust African loincloth doing stag jumps going, ugh. Is everybody enjoying me? Ugh. I was like, oh, God.
Oh, man.
And so he called the first guy Thunder. He called that guy Majestic, just throwing names out. He said, okay, just throwing names out here, but let's go ahead and go with this. Don, just throwing names out. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Little Chocolate.
Oh no! Who wants a taste?
I don't like that name at all. Little Chocolate, we got to work on that name. And I had written my full name down. He's like, the only person most people wrote down like Tim or Mike. Don Reed wrote down his full name. I don't know what that's all about, but anyway.
With your social security number and address and everything.
And his ATM PIN number as well, you know.
Everything.
Did you include your mother's maiden name? Did you include your mom's maiden name?
Jackson, right? Jackson, whatever. And I danced to Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. Way too fast, nervous, and blinking at top speed. And then I stripped down to the purple G-string and some white cowboy boots with red stitching that he let me borrow.
Oh.
And I danced to David Bowie's Let's Dance.
Wow.
And I undulated around, slipping in hair emollients and baby oil, but keeping the pace and keeping the movement going because I knew how to dance, but it was all a little too fast. And I finished and I walked down the street squishing and left a trail of a snail, humiliated.
God.
But then a couple of days later, 2 messages. I was over at T's house. First message, hey, Don, you're in the Kipling Hotel. We're going to hire you. Yeah, move in as soon as you like, serving breakfast for the old folks. Call me back. Very next message, I swear. Hey, Don, Little Chocolate, how you doing? We're going to hire you to be one of the dancers, but we got a couple of notes and suggestions for you. First of all, I want you to slow down. We don't know what's... Slow down. Wow. What's the hurry? You know?
Don, you may have just been used to 11 seconds as their maximum time of pleasure that you needed, but they actually wanted you to stretch it out to like 3.5 minutes.
22 seconds.
You know, so it was like, you know, your experience at that time of your life might have been on the shorter.
Get in there, get out.
You know, that was the best 11 seconds for me, babe. What about for you?
How about
right?
for you? You good? You good? Oh, you're not good.
You good?
Oh my God.
I promise next time. I promise next time. If you give me another promise.
So there was an eagerness that you were exhibiting in your dance for your audition.
Now, the thing is, though, he told me about, he said, whatever you had on your body, emollients, whatever, less of that. They have the other dancers slipping on the stage. But the other thing is, gotta come back on that.
It was a hazard for everybody who followed you.
It's actually quite a good tactic and strategy if you're auditioning and you want to eliminate your competition.
You can't follow me because you can't stand. You're like a fawn that was just born and having wiggly legs. He did tell me, though, he said, you got to cut back on that blinking because it's going to make the ladies nervous. And you might want to do it with one eye, and then it'll look like a wink. Okay? Call me back.
No.
But I never called him back because I got to Kipling. So that's what happened. That was a full length.
Wow.
Have you ever wondered, like, had you taken that stripping job, would your life trajectory have changed drastically? I mean, would you be in a small town outside of like San Antonio, Texas now, like retired from your years on the road?
Hold on, let me down, ran away. What's going on here?
Well, of course you would have been touring, right? And you would have been like, you would have gone to all of the the suburbs. You wouldn't have gone to like the major cities. You go to like the offshoots, and because you like that like company wouldn't have been. Well, like a suburb of Des Moines, not even Des Moines.
You would have been going to Peoria.
You'd been going to Peoria. You'd been instead of going to Bloomington, you'd have gone to Normal. You know, I mean, you wouldn't even. Instead of going to like Chicago, you'd have gone to a suburb of Joliet. I mean, because of this company was on, not a Chippendale, it's Chippendale Light,
the B train.
Yeah, so you would have been touring. You'd have been touring, and you probably would have like landed in the outskirts of San Antonio, and you probably would have fallen in love
Found
with
someone
with the rich matron of the town because she would have been throwing all of her hundreds at you, and then you would have just said, "I'm here. I'm planting I'm planting my feet here," and you would have just sat back, maybe coached some t-ball. No, outside San Antonio, not in San Antonio. Outside.
Okay,
the San Antonio.
Did happen though. I went back there. I went back to that same bar because the way the bar was set up is it was a regular strip club for women, but Thursday nights were women only.
That's for men.
It was ladies' night on Thursday night.
Yeah.
That they were experimenting with. It didn't last, but Thursday nights only women admitted with male dancers. And I went back I moved into Kipling, and about 3 years later, I went back. I started making some money, and while I was living at the Kipling, I started doing pretty well. I was started guesting on A Different World and some other stuff. But I was like, hey, I have some money, and I was with my friend named Dave. I don't know if I should say his last name. Anyway, my friend named Dave, who was like a big time partier who was going into fashion design, and he had all these. He knew the textile of any jacket. Let me tell you what that's made with. That has rayon, so he could break it down, right? And he had a Porsche that he wrecked very slowly one night.
He wrecked it very slowly. Okay.
Because he said I was buzzed and I realized I needed to get out of the car, but I couldn't stop it, so I just bumped into this wall at a low rate of speed. But he damaged it enough that they said they'd give him money.
It's total.
And he is now a rocket scientist. No lie.
Oh my God.
So before he was a rocket scientist, and before I start making a regular living, I just start making some money. We were really drunk with my cousin, and we went down to the place called The Last Call. We went down there. We had chunks of money on us, and we were tipping the girls dancing, and we got a bunch of drinks. We were drunk when we headed down there. We went in there, and somehow he told them that I was a comedian and that I was to do a spot between the girls. And his guys, didn't come to see any comedy. They came to see the girls. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Because of my screen went black for a second. And I went on stage, super, super buzzed, and I did an impersonation of E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Oh.
And I know how to turn exactly into them, the sound effects, the look, ouch, Elliot, the whole nine. And I was cussing, and I never cussed on stage back then. I was really clean, and E.T. was like, listen, mother, go, ouch, Elliot, what the fuck is wrong with you, Elliot? Just like, and people were like, that's pretty funny, bring back the girls.
Yeah.
And the girls went on stage and
you didn't get booed off, though.
So that's the closest you ever came to actually being a stripper.
Right, when I did my E.T. impersonation, right.
when you were like the relief act in between the girls.
Exactly, like, get on up there.
Yeah, but I'm going to add one more thing to what your life would have been like had you had you answered that call. You would have actually been the first male stripper to be a pole dancer.
Oh, right.
You would have started
because you already had the slip and glide going.
You would have added
the pole, right?
Oh, yes, strippers use the pole. I mean, in our area of the country, they use the pole.
The male stripper use the pole?
Oh,
no, I don't know if male strippers do. No. I mean,
that's why you would have been the first.
You did
groundbreaking.
Yeah, and
it's a different stage, but it's still a stage.
Your family would have been equally as proud of you.
I gotta say, I've done a grand job of private dances, though.
I'm sure you have.
This is an interesting short story, and I don't know why I'm telling this, but you guys need to know this. I don't know why. And I don't know. Maybe I might have mentioned it. Okay, so I was going with this gal from Texas who's a super athlete. I mean, super athlete to where her name is engraved in the college, like from these years to these years, the person who played softball and football, whatever.
Accomplished, yes.
We would have these dance.
She's in the Hall of Fame
at her place by ourselves. So we'd have our wine. We're drinking Chardonnay. We also have tilapia, tilapia, and some mashed potatoes and some asparagus. And after that, the dance party would start. And we play different roles. I'm supposed to come into our fake strip club as different characters. One night I'm a businessman. The next time I'm a rap producer.
I love it.
I'm a doctor who's from out of town on business. Right? And she would be
sounds fun. Yeah.
Supposed to be the stripper, and she'd do all these dance moves and stuff. And the first time, who was I? The first time I was supposed to be a doctor, a businessman, and I said, she's like, "Would you like a dance?" I said, "No, not now, not yet, please. I'm trying to look at all the girls." She's like, oh, "Okay," and she went over to where the tilapia was and was like leaning, going like, "You sure?" You know, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, come on, I'll pick you. But one night we're doing it. I was supposed to be a rap producer. She said, "You're a big rap producer?" She said, "Rap." I'm like, yo, to the break of dawn, break a dawn, and I yawned, and you're not a pawn, you the queen. She's like, "I guess you're a rap producer, but not a rapper." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly right. That's why I'm a rapper." I said, so she said, "I want to dance for you, but I want to be, careful because I have a big client. A big client is right over there across the room. This is us by ourselves."
How fun. Just role playing.
Across the room.
Yeah.
So, let's be tasteful. So she's supposed to be doing a private dance for me. La, la, la. Boom, 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 down, down, down. Boom, boom, boom. And at some point, she's like, "Oh, yeah," gets into it. And now she's undulating and things are getting hot and heavy. I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing? What about that client?
Where's the private room
You're supposed to be watching out for?" She's like, "Don't worry about it. He's blind." Like imaginary people were making up, and now the client can't see. I'm like, "What is happening here?" And we started laughing, and nothing sensual happened tonight because we laughed for about 45 minutes.
That's perfect.
That is the best yes and story.
That's total. And you know what it makes me think of is like you actually were getting trained during that time for COVID and Corona, right? So now like you're like, I just pull back from my history, and this is what we did when we didn't have to, and now I know how.
Now
I know how to make.
I'm prepared to.
I know how to make Corona. All of those things.
I never told that story on stage. I never told that story in an interview. I never told that story. I never told that story ever. So now.
Well, so that's one of the you should have noted that and that waiver we had you sign that we have a tendency that people just tell us things, deep dark secrets hidden down like for years. It must be just the way our faces are that we're like just it's a safe space.
Tell you guys something. Apart from that, I was role playing as a rap producer.
Trying to get some.
I mean, we have definitely told a lot of deep dark secrets on this show. So
we have. And we sometimes have to remember that, or try not to dwell on the fact that we have an international audience that all across the globe knows all about our deep dark secrets.
Wow.
We just do that. But Dawn, I have so enjoyed having you on the show today, and I know you said when we went to break you'd want to come back and you want to keep talking to us, and I
cannot wait.
I'm going to take you up on that offer.
Oh my God, is it over? You're ending, huh?
We are going to take you up on that offer.
Because we're at quite a lengthy conversation time right now.
38 minutes, really?
Yes, it has.
Mm-hmm.
That
and
so fast.
It does, which tells us there's much more to uncover here because we haven't talked about our homeless stories, which we need to do at some point.
I know.
There's so many. I'm going to talk about this whole dancing thing a little bit more. I want to hear more about Tony. I want to hear about your family,
what's going
so much.
We didn't even talk about that, right? So there's go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so it's like an hour and wow, that went by so fast.
I know.
Now you guys got to have me back on because I was like, I didn't even know it was going to go by that fast. We talked about Poltergeist,
your
I know.
family, the witnesses.
I know. And this is the beauty of an organic conversation. It just unfolds.
Now I really wish it was ending. COVID wasn't happening, and we were going out for drinks after, like a lot.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I
But
know.
Post-COVID, we'll be definitely getting together in 3D versus 2D.
The crushes are equal. I now have crushes on both of you as well now.
Oh, thank
you.
you.
Crush party.
Thank you. Now Emily's going to be hoping that all the crazy sounds that come from the computer are actually Dawn Reed's voice.
Heavy breathing, please.
Yeah, all of that.
For some dance moves.
But we so appreciate you taking the time talking with us. We will have you back on. I know on the podcast as often as you are available to be on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time talking to us and becoming like our BFF.
Thank you guys so much. Really. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We will
Cheers.
remain in touch. Cheers.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.